welcome everybody. We are so excited that you are taking the time to walk through baggage transportation Expo time slot selections with us. This is definitely a unique experience for TCS New York City Marathon runners, and admittedly can be a very confusing experience. Thank you for taking the time. Please be sure to put questions in your chat. Let me just caveat, today we are going to be talking specifically about the baggage transportation and Expo time slot selections. I know that you guys will have a lot of questions about the specific race day perks. We'll answer those to the extent that they come up, but please know you are going to get an immense amount of detail from us in the coming months about the TFK tents, all of the race day perks, what to do on race day. So we want to stick to the hour. We know a lot of people are on their lunch break right now. If you have so many questions and it's causing you a little bit of anxiety, at any point between now and November, you can email your questions to teamforkids@nyrr.org. There are 5 of us in this room: David, Lindsay, Irene, Ashley, and myself. We are the 5 human beings that those questions will go to, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. So don't stress about anything. We're here, and the best way to reach us is teamforkids@nyrr.org. So we can go to the next slide. Great. So what are we talking about today? Again, this is a unique feature of the marathon. You have to make a lot of choices prior to race day. So today we're going to talk about pre-check baggage. So you're going to have to tell us if you want to check a baggage at the finish so you'll have a bag of your personal items when you finish the race on race day, or if not. And we'll get into what it looks like if you don't. You'll all get a poncho, but we'll talk a lot more about that in a couple minutes. Transportation. So New York Roadrunners provides transportation to the start for all of the runners on race day. The start is on Staten Island. Most of you, especially if you're traveling, will likely be staying not on Staten Island. So New York Roadrunners helps the runners get to the start because it's a little bit out of the way, and we'll go through all of the options and how and when you make that selection. And then bib pickup time slots. So essentially we're asking you to tell us the time frame that you plan on coming to the Expo to pick up your bib. All runners must come to the Expo in person to pick up their bib. There are no exceptions to that. So we will see all of you at the Javits Center on the Thursday, Friday, or Saturday before the race. So this is just, you're going to pick a time frame to tell us when you're coming. So we have the right enough amount of staff, and we're just ready for you when you get there. I want to call attention to the key dates. So all of these selections will open at noon on Wednesday, August 16th. So once this call is over, if you're just feeling like really informed and you know what you want to do and you log into your NYRR profile, you will not see how to make the selections because it's not yet open. You're going to wait till Wednesday, August 16th till at least noon or after, and that's when the selections will appear in your profile, and that's when you'll be able to make your selections. And then the deadline to make your selection is September 12th at 11:59, and all of these deadlines are Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so the next slide. This is just your friendly registration reminder. It's not a TFK call if I'm not asking you to please confirm you're registered for the race. You simply cannot run the race if you're not registered for it. They don't know you're coming, and you won't have a bib. And it's same for the selection. So in order to make a selection, you have to be fully registered for the TCS New York City Marathon. If you're not sure if you're registered or not, how you confirm that is log into your nyrr.org profile, and under your dashboard, go to registered events. And if you're registered, the 2023 TCS New York City Marathon will appear there. If you are not registered, it will not be there. If you have questions and all of this is confusing you, email us at teamforkids@nyrr.org. Our staff will help you figure out if you're registered or not, and make sure you're all set and fully registered for the 16th when selections open. Okay. Before we get into the nitty gritty and all the details of the actual selections, we wanted to just do an overview of, again, how to make your selection. So the screenshot you're seeing is the logged in state of a runner. So again, this is nyrr.org. At the very upper right-hand corner, you would log into your profile and land on your dashboard. And then you would navigate to the first red box, you see the registered events. And you see how the 2023 TCS New York City Marathon appears. Again, if it's there, you're registered. If it's not there, you are not registered. On August 16th, noon or after Eastern Standard Time, you will then see the bottom red box that says baggage, transportation, and race number pickup time. That is where you are going to log in and navigate to make your selections. Again, on the 6th, between August 16th and September 12th. And we'll go on making the selections on the next slide. So once you are logged in, you're going to pick them one at a time. So you can't just do baggage, TFK Ferry, be there Thursday at noon, click send, because you will only be submitting probably for the last one. You have to do it one at a time. So you're going to go to baggage. You're going to pick PreCheck Baggage, no PreCheck Baggage, hit submit. You're going to get a confirmation email that that's what you selected. And when you log back in, that'll appear there. Then you'll move to transportation. You'll pick Staten Island Ferry, Midtown Bus, TFK Ferry, whichever selection you want. Hit submit again. You'll again get another confirmation email. So you do that for each of the 3 choices. And that is the indication that like you fully made the choice and it was saved and you're good. And then you can log out. I would say give it 10 or so minutes, log back in, and just make sure that the selections you're there and you got those confirmation emails. If you aren't seeing the emails or you're not sure if it worked, give us an email at teamforkids@nyrr.org. Our staff is more than happy to log in, confirm your selections. But if you do get the confirmation email, that means it worked. Okay, next slide. Okay, so PreCheck baggage. So the first thing you're going to be asked is, do you want to have a bag of personal items at the finish or not? This is a little bit different. A lot of races, you take your personal bag to the start, you drop it, and it's at the finish when you finish. That is not what happens at the TCS New York City Marathon. So first thing to call out is that all finishers of the TCS New York City Marathon get a post-race poncho. If you've ever seen the NFL on a cold day, the players on the sidelines are kind of wrapped up in those big blankets with hoods on them. That's exactly what this is. Maybe not as nice as the NFL ones, but it's basically like a fleece-lined poncho with a hood that after the race, if it's a chilly day, you can wrap yourself up in to stay warm and get back to your hotel or wherever you're staying. So everybody gets that. Only about 40% of the runners in the race have the opportunity to pre-check a bag. If you select baggage, like I said, you will not be taking this bag of personal items to the start. If you take anything you take to the start, starts at the start or stays at the start, unless you physically carry it to the finish. For PreCheck bag, you would drop the bag that you pack of like your sweatpants, your sweatshirt, your sandals, whatever you need after the race, and Rumsey Playfield in Central Park on either Friday, November 3rd or Saturday, November 4th between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then those bags would then be moved to the TFK finish tent where you would pick them up after the race. So in thinking about if you want a bag or not, my recommendation is select a bag if there's something very specific you absolutely need right after you finish. So if there's some type of nutrition that you absolutely have to have immediately after crossing the finish line, select a bag. If like you have to have some type of shoe or inserts or something special that you have to have, select a bag. I will say, and it already came up, Team for Kids does have a VIP finish tent for our runners where we will have just a basic area for you guys to come after the race, sit down. We'll have coffee, water, Gatorade, tea. We'll have, light refreshment, think granola bars. It's usually close to Halloween, so we sneak in some candy. We have some salty, some sweet, some things for you to snack on, recover a little bit, and head home. So if generally after a race you like to have some pretzels or granola bar, that we have covered for you. But if you have an extremely specific brand of protein bar that you absolutely have to have after the race, I would suggest PreCheck Baggage. If you have something that specific that it's unlikely that will happen to have in the tent, PreCheck a bag. The other recommendation for selecting baggage would be if you have to travel very far to get home and you don't have people coming in to spectate. So if you basically drive yourself into the city, park somewhere in Midtown West, run the race, and then are just going to kind of drive yourself home, you're probably going to want a change of clothes sooner than later to get home. If you are coming into, say, from Connecticut with your whole family who's going to be at the finish line to meet you, they could hold on to your sweatshirt and your pants. You don't necessarily have to check a bag if you are planning to meet up with someone who could have those items for you. All of that's at your discretion. The final thing I'll say about PreCheck Baggage, and this is honestly my advice for everything you're about to select, is do what makes you feel comfortable. If you're feeling stressed right now and you're not sure if you're going to want something or not want something on race day, pick baggage. Here's a secret. No one's going to make you drop off a bag in Central Park. But if you choose baggage, you will have that option. So if you're on the fence, you're not really sure which is going to work out best for you, just pick baggage. So you have the option. And then if you end up not coming and dropping anything, that's totally fine. Totally fine. So I would say the number one piece of information when it comes to baggage and transportation selection is do what's going to make race morning and race day the easiest and most stress-free thing for you. Okay. Cool. So are there any chat questions you guys feel like we should call out regarding bags?
No chat questions regarding bags. A little bit about the tent. It is going to be a frozen zone on 72nd Street between Central Park West and Columbus. So if you have friends and family that want to meet you, it's best to pick a spot outside of that area on the northeast corner of 72nd and Columbus, for example. As David mentioned, it's helpful to plan a meeting point ahead as cell service can be spotty. We'll be going over all this at another call later in the year, closer to the race. So don't even worry about it just yet.
Yeah, and I will say, just to reiterate Ashley's point, there's going to be 53,000 finishers. If each of them has one person meeting up with them, it's like 100,000 people. I would pick a spot a few blocks away from the park.
She's right.
The further you get from the park, the easier it's going to be to find your friends, the less overwhelming it's going to be in terms of crowd, and the less saturation in that immediate spot on your phone. So they absolutely cannot access the TFK tent. Honestly, if your hotel is close enough, just meet them there. It's a very, very crowded area right outside the race exits. Okay, so moving on to transportation. I want to call your attention to the fact that Team for Kids runners have a lot of transportation options on race day. The first one and all of these we're going to go into like full detail on in a minute. Flagging that TFK does actually have a private transportation option for our team members. It's the TFK Ferry. This is only for Team for Kids members though. So if you got in via Team for Kids and your friend got in via the drawing, your friend cannot come on the TFK Ferry for you or with you. This is just your TFK runners only. Your coaches and the mentors will be on this ferry. That's it. There is another ferry that's open to everyone though, the Staten Island Ferry. We have Midtown buses. So if you're staying in the Times Square Midtown area, this could be a good option for you. If you're in New Jersey, There's a bus that leaves from New Jersey, and we'll get into the exact location of that. And there's also some opportunities to take a private vehicle to the start. There are a lot of cautions I'm going to offer about that in just a few slides, but these are all of the options. So as a TFK runner, you have more options than most runners because you can choose any option that a general runner has the ability to select, plus the TFK Ferry. So let's go deep on some of these options now. Okay, so before we go super deep, a quick thing to call out is that when the transportation options open, again, on August 16th at noon or later, they do fill on a first come first served basis. So especially when we're talking about the Midtown Bus, which seems to fill the quickest, if there's a very specific time departure you want from the Midtown Bus, I would recommend logging on the 16th or 17th and signing up for that right away. Because again, the bus only has so many seats, and once those seats are full, we can't continue to let runners sign up for it. If your option is the TFK Ferry, you can sign up at any time. That the TFK Ferry is not going to fill up to Team for Kids runners. We've allocated that we could take all of you if we needed to. So you do not have to worry about being there at like online on your computer on August 16th at noon if TFK Ferry is the choice you want. It's really only if there's a very specific Midtown bus that I would recommend trying to be there right away. Sometimes when everybody tries to log in at the same time, there's some computer issues. So it might not be the experience. Just log on like an hour later, you should be fine. Non-Team for Kids transportation options. Okay, so the options that you see are going to be based on the best pace in your NYR profile, or if you do not have a best pace, they're going to be based on your predicted finish time. I will caution, as a Team for Kids runner, one of kind of the unspoken perks is that you do not start in the pace or in the corrals based on your best pace. There's actually like full TFK corrals within each wave. So almost every Team for Kids runner is going to be bumped up either corral-wise within a wave, or more specifically, we'll be starting a full wave earlier than your best pace would place you. So TFK runners, we have a full TFK wave in our corral in wave 1, 2, 3, and 4. TFK does not place any of our runners in wave 5. All of that information, your specific placement, won't be available to you until October. But if you are making a transportation selection that is not the Team for Kids Ferry, you should be thinking about the earlier options you see, just knowing that you will likely be placed up to a wave ahead of where you think you would be best based on your best pace. So all of our runners start together in a dedicated TFK corral in waves 1, 2, 3, 4. If you think you're going to be in wave 5, I'm here to tell you, you definitely won't be. So assume you're starting in wave 4. And then if you fail to select your transportation option by the deadline, September 12th, you will have very limited options when you show up at the Expo. So don't put yourself in a bad position. Make sure you're logging in between August 16th and September 12th to make your selection, to choose the option you want, because if you don't do it, then you kind of get what you get and you don't get upset at the Expo. Then you have to pick just basically what's left over.
We've had a lot of questions about the TFK Ferry, so I think
so
it's better
that's the next slide. Yeah, guys, I promise we will be talking about everything.
Don't worry, guys.
Okay, the TFK Ferry. So the TFK Ferry, again, is a dedicated transportation method for TFK runners only. Basically, our ferry departs from the East River, so East 35th Street and the FDR Drive. Please do not go to West 35th Street on race day. There is no ferry there that will take you to us. So the boat is in the East River. You're going to East 35th Street and the FDR Drive. You're going to take about a 25-minute boat ride to Staten Island. You're going to get off the bus or the boat, and then we are going to walk you to dedicated buses that will drive you and only TFK runners the rest of the way to the start village. The nice thing about the TFK Ferry, again, is once you get on this ferry, you are only with TFK runners, coaches, and mentors. You simply do not have to do any thinking for the rest of the morning. Just follow the other people in green. We will lead you directly to our tent. So we're going to put you on a boat. I'm literally going to be standing in Staten Island, welcoming you and walking you directly onto a bus that's only TFK runners. That bus is going to take you to the quote unquote back entrance of the start village, which is the closest to where the TFK tent is. A mentor or a coach is going to lead you off the bus through security and walk you directly to the tent. Let me just also call attention to the fact, and we're not going to go too deep, but we have a start tent. So if you've run this race before and you're a general runner, you may have memories of being wrapped up in a bathrobe, sitting on a piece of cardboard in an open field. That is not the TFK experience. We have a tent. That tent, if it's not too hot, has walls. Within those walls, we have heat. So
Yes.
I think one thing runners are very concerned about is getting there too early. I am here to tell you there's literally no such thing as too early on race day. You have worked too hard fundraising and training for this race to think you're going to sleep in an extra 30 minutes, cut it too close, and miss your wave. You do not have to sit out in the open zone. We have a tent, we have coffee, tea, bagels, bananas, we have our own toilets. Give yourself some time. What I usually tell first timers, however early you think you need to get there, I would add 90 minutes. We are going to an island with 53,000 other people. Things just get crowded and move slowly. And you don't want to be stressed out because you were hoping for 20 to 30 more minutes of sleep. You're going to have a comfortable place to sit. You're going to have your whole team around you. Things are just going to take time. As the morning goes on, there's more bus congestion on Staten Island. So the drive can take, 5 or 10, 20 minutes longer than you think because there's just buses in the way or people have to unload and things are moving slow. Then you're going to have to go through security, and that could take, 10 or 15 minutes to get through the security. You'll walk to our tent. You're going to want to get a cup of coffee. You're going to want to go to the bathroom. You're going to want to sit down and center yourself for a little bit. And then, like I said, because we are all in the same corrals within the waves, our coaches for the wave one runners are going to say, hey, wave one, it's your time to warm up. We're going to do a warm up together, and then we're going to go to our corral together. All of that takes time. When you add up how long all of those things can take, it takes time. You're not going to be there too early. If you pick the earliest time, we want to make sure you are there early enough so that you're not sitting on a bus sweating bullets because it's not moving fast enough and you're getting nervous about missing your wave. We want you to have enough time in the tent to go to the bathroom and to kind of sit down and eat a banana and not feel totally rushed. I think one of the biggest errors we see on the part of first timers or first time New York City marathon runners is they underestimate how much time they should give themselves in the morning. Because I agree, it sounds early, and it is going to be an early morning for all of us, but you don't want to start race day off in like a totally stressed out wrong foot position because you underestimated that. So I promise you, whatever you think, please just add 90 minutes to that. There is food at the tent. Again, it's not extensive food. And if there is a very specific power bar or whatever you like to eat on race day, if there's something specific, you do need to bring that. We'll have bagels, we'll have bananas. I mean, that's basically the extent of it. Potentially some other sponsor product, coffee, tea, hot water, Gatorade. So we'll have very, very runner basics at the start tent. But if you will all have the ability to bring what's called a start village bag to the start in that bag, as long as it's legal to bring into the fort. You can have your bottle of water, your banana, your power gels, whatever you want to bring, you can bring that. But we will have some amount of amenities for you. And I think someone did ask, it's a 25-minute ferry ride. I've never been on it, but from what I've been told, it's a very nice ferry. So flagging, it is like kind of a posh boat ride. So
Do you want to add that there is an additional bus that will take you from the ferry terminal in Staten Island to our actual TFK tent? So if you're asking about total time, Jeremy, you had mentioned last time, it can be.
I would assume 90 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, if you luck out and some of the earlier wave runners, it could be a little bit faster. As I said, like as the morning progresses, the island gets busier. So if you're in wave 4, it might take a little bit longer. Okay, so that is the TFK Ferry. One great option. Okay, so the next slide is the Staten Island Ferry. Another great option. As I said, and just, I cannot say this enough. Do what is going to be the easiest and creates the least amount of stress for you on race day. I live in Brooklyn. There is a 0% chance I'd ever be going to the Staten Island Ferry. It's just not my closest and easiest option. For me, I'm on the Staten Island Ferry every time I run this race. It's the easiest and closest thing for me to do, and it just keeps me the calmest. So Staten Island Ferry leaves from Whitehall Terminal. It's basically the very southern tip of Manhattan. If you've been to Manhattan before, think about it's where you go to see the Statue of Liberty, where you go to get on the boat to see the Statue of Liberty, all the way southern tip. This is about a 20-minute ferry ride. I'll call out that both ferries, the TFK Ferry and the Staten Island Ferry, have bathrooms on them, and there's porta potties. And inside the ferry terminal, bathrooms there as well. The buses you'll take from where the ferry drops you off to the start village are going to be school buses. So the buses that the ferry riders will take will be school buses. There won't be bathrooms on those. But again, there will be bathrooms on these boats, and there are bathrooms before you get onto those buses. So if that's a concern, keep that in mind. This is free transportation for runners. It's basically the same thing as what happens with the TFK ferry riders, except you're with all the general population of the race. So it's just way more runners. But basically you ride this ferry, you get off at the ferry terminal. New York Road Runners will then have buses waiting for you. Those buses will take you to the start. It'll drop you off at the school road, which is the front entrance. We are going to send you so many maps of exactly how to find our start tent in the start village. So you would just have to navigate to the start tent, but you can go to any village in the start village, and everybody can come to our tent once you get there. We're going to have volunteers and directional people around the fort to help direct you to the TFK tent. They're going to be in numbers around where these buses drop off. So if you're worried about navigating to the tent, don't be. We're going to send you a lot of maps. We're going to have volunteers and people with huge signs all over the fort. You'll be able to find us. Okay, so getting to it. You can get to it by these subways, by these buses. You can also take an Uber or a taxi. So basically all of the locations leaving from Manhattan, what I like to say is follow the runners. It's the good thing about race morning is that there's going to be a lot of other people going to the same place that you're going. So when in doubt, look for someone who looks like a runner. It's going to be most of the people you see that morning, and follow them. Yeah, but I will say in the early hours, some of the subways and buses are not running as frequently. A lot of people walk if they're in close enough proximity. And super early in the morning, you should be able to get Ubers and taxis.
Yeah, I do want to add one thing. If you are taking the non-TFK ferry option, Staten Island Ferry, the ones we're going to go over, you are absolutely welcome to come and find us at the TFK tent. If you took one of these other options because you were with a friend, The friend unfortunately cannot join you in the tent once you do get to the TFK tent. Only runners who have signed up in our fundraising with us for this year and have the TFK sticker on their bib are able to come into the tent with us. If you are with a running buddy or a friend that is not, you are welcome to hang out with them in any of the other start villages. They just cannot come into our tent.
Yeah, and I see Marco asking, the name of the subway station is Whitehall Street, which is great because you're going to Whitehall Terminal. So hopefully that makes it easy. So that's the Staten Island Ferry, another great option. Okay, Midtown Bus. This is a popular one for a lot of out-of-towners because many of you will be staying in Midtown. So this leaves from the New York Public Library at 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. If you squint and look in close to that little map, you can see it's very close to Times Square, which I assume a lot of out-of-towners will be kind of in this Midtown East, West area. This is accessible by subway, accessible by buses, but this is also going to be a very walkable location based on if and where your hotel is. These buses this is a one-step transportation process. You get on the bus in Manhattan, you get off the bus at Staten Island. These would be coach buses, so not guaranteed, but more likely to have a bathroom. Sometimes the bathrooms on the bus don't work. But again, there's going to be many porta potties in the bus loading location. So if going to the bathroom, I'm a nervous peer, if going to the bathroom is something that you're worried about, you have the opportunity to go to the bathroom before the bus. If you get lucky, your bus will have a working bathroom. And then there's, again, bathrooms at the start village. Again, I would plan on an hour to 90 minutes from like getting on to driving to Staten Island to getting off and into the fort for the Midtown Bus as well. This one, I will say, this fills up fast.
Yes.
So if there's a specific time or you and your best friend are running and you want to be at the same bus, this is one where I would say, have your plan in place and be ready to pick your bus on August 16th.
Before noon.
Nope, not before noon.
No, in your head, plan it out. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about is the New Jersey bus. Perfect. So if you are in New Jersey, do not come into Manhattan. You don't have to. If you want to, absolutely do that. But the TFK Ferry is a great experience. It might not be a great experience for you if you have to travel to get into the city from New Jersey on race day. There's an easier option. MetLife Stadium, parking lot K near the Quest Diagnostic Training Center might be the option for you. This will have a variety of times, departure times. You will see those when you log in to make your selection. But if I lived in New Jersey, this truly would be the only thing I considered. Flagging that there is no parking here. So even though you will be boarding this bus in a giant parking lot, you cannot leave your car there. You would need to be dropped off and then take the bus. Buses will transport runners directly to the fort. So again, this is another one-step option. You get onto the bus, you ride the bus to Staten Island, you get off at the start of the race. So pretty straightforward with the New Jersey bus.
Hold on I apologize, you guys. Give me 1 second.
It's not a TFK webinar without technical difficulties.
Sure isn't.
Some people are asking about public transportation and cabs on race day. I would say when possible, schedule in advance. Again, it's you and 53,000 people. I do not know that there's going to be 53,000 Uber drivers up and driving around at that time, and traffic gets congested. So if you can schedule in advance, carpool with people. But I mean, I think the key to a successful morning is give yourself enough time. If you are thinking you're on an 8:30 ferry and you're going to get a cab at 8:15 and it's going to go easy peasy, I guarantee you it won't. But if you're on like a 5:30 ferry, it's going to be a lot easier early. The earlier the better, because the fewer people are going that early, and as the morning goes, it gets more congested. So let's talk about private vehicles. Some people are like, forget it, I'm just taking a cab, or my friend has a car, they'll drop me off. That's fine, but I do feel like there's some things you need to consider. So there's only one specific drop-off location if you are taking private transportation. You will need to go to the intersection of Lily Pond Avenue and McLean Avenue, outside of Fort Wadsworth on Staten Island. And again, all of the stuff we send you in October is going to give extreme detail on this. There is no parking here. So just like MetLife Stadium, you can't just drive to the start, park, run the race, and then come back and get your car later. You're going to have to get dropped off. From this drop-off point, it's about a half-mile walk to the village. I think that surprises people. There's so much happening operationally. Roads are closed. We have the corrals for the race, all the bus operations and drop-offs. Your drop-off point is going to be a little bit ways away from the actual entrance to the start villages. So just be prepared for that walk as you go in. And this is crucial, you must arrive before 7 a.m. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to explain why you have to arrive. You have to arrive before 7 a.m. because in private vehicle, you will not be able to access Staten Island via the Verrazano Narrows Bridge or the Staten Island Expressway after 7 a.m. The bridge is closed at 7 a.m. so we can prep for the race start. And the Staten Island Expressway also has to be cleared by 7 a.m. So you need to be there by 7 a.m. And if you're driving, like I said, expect traffic. It's you and 53,000 other friends, and more specifically to you, it's you and hundreds of buses driving there. Buses are big and slow and awkward and just slow things down. The other thing is, if this is your option, and again, one year I stayed with a friend on Staten Island, she dropped me off. It was also a great and totally okay race morning experience, but you just have to be aware of all these restrictions. If your friend lives in Brooklyn and they are nice enough to drop you off, please plan to have them drop you off with enough time to leave Staten Island. They need to be off Staten Island. Like, you can't come on to Staten Island. You cannot then drive the bridge out of Staten Island after 7 a.m. Please let your friend go home if they do this for you. Same with Uber drivers. These people are just out there doing their job. Please plan to give them enough time to not be trapped on Staten Island for the marathon. So those are the private vehicle considerations. All of these options are good options. The best option is going to be what's the easiest and least stressful for you. So that's going to be different for everyone. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. I think I've earned it. Ashley's going to go over Expo time slots.
Yes, Expo time slots. So you have to make an appointment to pick up your race materials, your bib, your race shirt, visit the Expo in person at the Expo. As Jeremy mentioned, there is no proxy pickup for this race, so you do have to be there in person with your ID and your confirmation form, which we'll give plenty of information about in October. These time slots are available first come, first serve. They are not 10 a.m. to 10, larger windows of time, several hours. So you should just pick one time that works for you. If it changes, you can go into your NYR account and change it. It helps us plan for logistics. That way we can make sure that the flow of the Expo totally works for everybody. Selection is available, as I mentioned, can be adjusted until the Expo closes on November 4th. You'll be able to pick up your bib, your race shirt, your PreCheck bag, come say hi to us at our TFK area. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to send us an email at teamforkids@myr.org. All right, she gave me the quickest one. I'm sorry, Jeremy. But this will be available for you later. We will be sending out a YouTube link of this, not to worry, so that you guys can watch this another time and get your questions re-answered in case you missed any of them. Are there any other questions you guys have?
Yeah.
Or- It'll be on your bib, not to worry.
Yeah, we are gonna do when you receive at the expo is gonna be the entirety of what you need. So we're just gonna do it for you. We're not gonna make you worry about putting stickers in these corners and all of those things. What you get is gonna be the exact form you need to have and show for race day.
A family member with your ID is not, unfortunately for this race, we cannot do it. There are bigger security concerns because this is the TCS New York City Marathon. We will have merch available for sale at the expo. We are working towards being able to make it available before the race in our online store. So just keep your eye out for it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely ask questions in the chat. You can also come off mute and ask a question now. But again, we are here. There's 5 of us. Our job is literally to help you navigate this. So at any time between now and the race day, give us an email at teamforkids@nyrr.org and we will answer your questions.
Yes, there will be a breakfast, a TFK breakfast. You'll be getting tons of information about everything race week related to TFK, especially as we get closer to the race.
Yeah, I mean, just the kind of the timeline on our end, that baggage and transportation is the main event right now. Once we get this major kind of operation, once we're past this and have everybody's selection set and we can send our information to the bib team so they can start assigning, then we'll shift to kind of the race week RSVPs and operations. But this is kind of the monkey on our back this month. And so we're all baggage in operation right now.
We don't have a friends and family tent along the course for TFK, but if you want to be out with millions of friends and family that are cheering on their runners, including TFK runners, that is the entirety of the course. It's a fantastic experience. And we'll be talking more about kind of cheer strategy for your family when we have a call that's closer to the race in October, not to worry. All right, just going through the expo. Yes, located at the Javits Center. And if you're nervous that you are missing some information, as Jeremy mentioned, email us, but we cannot stress again how much information you're going to be getting in the next couple months. So truly don't worry about it until you have to, and then you're just going to receive it all from us, and we're happy to give it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to pace ourselves with our training, we're pacing ourselves with our fundraising, we're pacing ourselves with what we're worried about. And right now, prepping for the 16th, we're focused on making these selections, checking those boxes, and then we'll move on.
That's great. Yeah. So we, I think, are going to stay in here for a few more minutes, but we're going to end in about a minute or two. So we really appreciate you joining us and have a great rest of your week. And again, teamforkids@nyrr.org. We are happy to help you with any questions that you have. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.